As I had already mentioned in my last video of this poem, The Inchcape Rock by Robert Southey, I will be covering figures of speech, poetic devices in this part, the second part of The Inchcape Rock, because this ballet is quite long. So in first part, we have seen the central idea, the picturesque description of the ballet and its critical appreciation and glossary, the difficult words. And in this second part, I will be covering the poetic devices and the creativity part of the poem. So let's begin with first 4 stanzas. The poem is of 17 stanzas. The ballet is of 17 stanzas. So I have divided it into 4 parts. So let's start with first 4 stanzas and we will see the figures of speech, the archaic words and the creativity, whatever is there in these 4 stanzas. First question is, pick out lines of imagery from the extract. Now imagery means visually descriptive or figurative language, especially in a literary work. So you see, it's as if poet is painting, but instead of colors, he is using words. So when we read lines, her sails in ocean received no motion, or her keel was steady in the ocean, the wave flowed over the Inchcape Rock, suddenly the whole scene is created in front of our eyes. The figurative words, that sails, no motion, the keel, the waves flowed over the Inchcape Rock, they instantly create a scene in front of our eyes. So this is visual imagery. We can imagine a ship standing steadily in the ocean, her sails are steady, her keel is steady, and the Inchcape Rock and waves are flowing over it. So such figurative and picturesque language is visual imagery. Second is sound imagery. That means here poet is using sound words, onomatopoeic words. So when we read these lines, we get that sound effect. We can actually, if we are completely immersed in the poem, we can actually hear those sounds also. So there is one example in these first 4 stanzas of sound imagery, and that is, and over the waves its warning rung. So rung is a onomatopoeic word. So it is creating a sound imagery. Pick out examples of repetition from the extract. No stir in the air, no stir in the sea. So word stir is repeated pleasingly. So little they rose, so little they fell, so little they. These words are used for lyrical quality, for creating a lyrical effect in the poem. Name and explain the figure of speech in the following line. So little they rose, so little they fell. Obviously, rose and fell, opposite words are there. So antithesis, opposite ideas rise and fall are expressed in the same line. Fourth question, pick out archaic words used in the extract and state what it means. So flowed. In modern language, we use ed, but in archaic terms, we use apostrophe and d. Blessed, blessed. Pick out lines from the extract that personify the waves. So little they rose, so little they fell. The pronoun they refers to the waves, and it has been given the quality of rising and falling. So here waves are personified. They did not move the Inchcape Bell. Who did not move the Inchcape Bell? They. Whom does they refer to? So they refers to the waves. So waves have been given the human quality of moving something. Here the Inchcape Rock. So it is personification. There is another thing that being personified in the extract. Identify the object and pick out the lines. The ship has been personified as a woman with the usage of the feminine pronouns she and her. The following lines personify the ship. The ship was as still as she could be. Her sails from heaven received no motion. Her keel was steady in the ocean. So here she, her, these pronouns are used for the ship. So it is also personified. Along with waves, ship is also personified. Identify the rhyming scheme of the extract. Pick out the rhyming words. The rhyme scheme is AABB. All the 17 stanzas of this ballet contain the same figure of speech, that is AABB. First 2 lines rhyme with each other and third and fourth lines rhyme with each other. And rhyming words of first 4 stanzas are CB, motion ocean, shock rock, fell bell, Aberbrothok rock, swung rung, swell bell, rock Aberbrothok. Creativity. Compose 4 poetic lines on Abbott. Abbott was kind and full of sympathy. He tied the bell which showed his empathy. All sailors now voyage fearlessly on sea, will now live a life danger-free. So these are the 4 poetic lines about Abbott which I thought, but you are free to let your imagination run wild and you can compose lines on your own also. Let's proceed to 5th to 9th stanzas. Pick out examples of inversion from the stanzas. Inversion is a figure of speech where poet jumbles the word order. Poet takes liberty, sometimes for a rhyme scheme, rhyming words, sometimes for surprise, sometimes for shocking the readers. So poet has this liberty that he can play with words as he likes. So inversion. Like in these 4 examples. First one is, the sun in the heaven was shining gay. Word order is jumbled. Correct word order is, the sun was shining gay in the heaven. So now proper subject, verb, object pattern is here. A darker speck on the ocean green. Word order is not correct obviously because ocean green. The green is an adjective which should come before the noun. So correct word order is, a darker speck on the green ocean. Quoth he, my men put out the boat. Correct word order is, he quoth. My men put the boat out. And to the Inchcape rock they go. Word order is jumbled. Correct word order is, and they go to the Inchcape bell. So these are 4 examples of inversion. Explain the personification in the line, he felt the cheering power of spring. The season of spring, which is an inanimate thing, is given the human quality of possessing cheering power. So here season of spring is personified. Pick out an example of symbolism from the extract. The sun in the heaven shining gay. In this line, the word heaven symbolizes the sky. So instead of sky, symbolically heaven is used. So symbolism is there in this line. Identify all the archaic words used in the extract and write modern equivalents. Archaic means old-fashioned words, old English words. Wheeled round, flew in circles in the sky. So in olden period, there was fashion to give apostrophe instead of E. Walked, screamed, fixed, lowered, coat means coat. These are archaic words. So we have just added E in modern uses. Pick out examples of visual imagery and sound imagery from the poem. Visual imagery. The sun in the heaven was shining gay. The boy of the Inchcape bell was seen. See, such figurative language makes it easy for us to imagine the poem. We feel that we are there on the spot, on the sea, and as if the whole scene is going on in front of our eyes. We are the part of that experience. Sound imagery. The seabird screamed as they wheeled round. Screaming, sound word, onomatopoeic word. Creativity. Compose 4 to 6 lines on your own on Inchcape bell. So here's what I thought of. Tied to the boy, the Inchcape bell saved how many lives we can't tell. But Ralph the rover was a wicked man. He cut the bell from the float and ran. Now third part from 10th to 13th stanzas. Pick out the line which has both inversion and onomatopoeia. Down sung the bell with a gurgling sound. This line contains both inversion and onomatopoeia. Gurgling sound directly refers to the sound of the sinking of Inchcape bell, so it is onomatopoeia. The line is also an inversion as there is a change in word order. The correct prose order is the bell sunk down with a gurgling sound. Explain the alliteration in the line. He steers his course for Scotland's shore. Sound of letter, consonant sound S is repeated pleasingly. Third, pick out the archaic words from the extract. Scoured, plundered, overspreads, hath. Now see, apostrophe is used instead of E, and here instead of over, O and apostrophe is used. So it is an old-fashioned way of writing. Hath means has. In modern English we use has. Creativity. Compose 4 lines on Sir Ralph the Rover. Sir Ralph the Rover was wicked and bad. Praise for the abbot made him angry and sad. He looted and plundered every ship he sighted, but in the end his misdeeds had him blighted. Now let's go to last part, that is from 14th to 17th stanzas. Write the modern equivalents to archaic terms. Cursed, that is cursed. Methinks, in modern English we don't say methinks, we say I think. Second question, explain the inversion in the following line. On the deck, the rover takes his stand. The words in the line are written in incorrect prose order. The correct prose order is the rover takes his stand on the deck. Pick out lines of alliteration from the extract. There are so many examples of alliteration in the poem, strewn all over the poem. In this last part, they hear no sound, the swell is strong. S sound is repeated pleasingly. Till the vessel strikes with a shivering shock. Again, consonant sound S is repeated pleasingly. Pick out a line that has both apostrophe and exclamation as figures of speech. So, the line having both of these figures of speech is O Christ, it is the Inchcape Rock. The line features apostrophe as the addressee Christ is absent. O Christ. So Christ is directly addressed, hence apostrophe. The poet also attempts to depict strong feelings of seriousness and shock, which the pirate experiences, and this justifies the usage of exclamation mark. Pick out an example of metaphor from the last stanza. The devil below was ringing his knell. The implicit comparison is drawn between the sound of the knell rung by the devil and the sound of the Inchcape bell, hence metaphor. Creativity. Compose 4 lines on as you sow, so shall you reap. This is a proverb and you have to create 4 poetic lines on this topic or this proverb. As you sow, so shall you reap. Do good you smile, do bad you will weep. Life is like a spring unwound. What goes around always comes around. Isn't it? How true. So with this we come to the end of second part and also our poem The Inchcape Rock. So stay happy, stay safe. See you soon. Bye bye. Thank you.